you trying to do for real? For real. Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Takara Nicole, aka the Identity Architect, and this is another episode of What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole. Elated you guys are spending time with me and my guest today. Tons of things you can be doing, but you're watching us, so that's exciting. Whether it's your first time or your 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th time, because this is our 12th episode. So yeah, we're happy that you are here. So I have a legend in the building with me today. One of my faves, Alan Black. Let's go.
Oh, again with the legend stuff.
Yes, he's a legend.
Stop putting the pressure on me, Takara. Stop it. Stop it.
I love it. Alan, thank you so much.
Well, first of all, let me say this. It's an honor to be here. I'm very, very honored to be here.
Thank you.
And I want to commend you on what you're doing.
Thank you.
Because I think it's important that we edify and uplift each other when we're doing something that is furthering a great cause. And so you're providing a platform for individuals to share their stories, because one thing you and I both know, that whatever your story is, there's something in the midst of that story that can speak to somebody else
Absolutely.
about where they may be at their particular point in life.
Yes.
That could give them the encouragement that they're looking for. So again, props to you
Thank you.
for this great program. And hey, I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, we are. Listen, I believe that God is very intentional, and it's really important for us to know who people are. You never know how people can help you get to the next place and space that God has for you. And we don't know who those people are, and they, cross our paths all the time. Either you're going to be, friendly and invite them in, or you're going to be sedity and you're going to miss your moment. So I'd rather invite them on in so I can, do what I do. So let's talk about. Okay, so let me back up. Alan is an author, not a first-time author, not a second-time author, but a third-time author. And let me tell you something, being a publisher and a 12-time author, anytime that you give birth to a book, it is to be commended. Everybody can set out to complete a book. Only about 2% of people actually finish. So, hats off to you.
Thank you.
With your 3 amazing books. We're not going to talk about books today, though. We're going to talk about how he does something else. What else do you do, Alan?
Well, funny you would mention that, Takara. Funny you would mention that, because the authorship side of me, of Alan Black, really stems from my origins in music. Now, I'm not a musician. I don't sing because there are laws against cruel and unusual punishment. So we don't do that. So that's not the case. But what I've done in music is really what my passion is lyrics. I'm what they call a lyricist. And so for me, that is really my passion. Because I could literally be in the studio 2 or 3 days a week, just sitting out with somebody, and we're brainstorming, coming up with ideas for a song. What's a storyline that we could put music to? Where can we go with this? Where can we go with that?
Wow.
That's my passion. That's something I could do, like I said, 2 or 3 days a week. The authorship side of me, I love it. But when you have that passion.
I do.
Because that passion as such, your projection and the vibe of who you are changes.
Yeah.
Because that passion comes out and people are looking at you like, oh, I didn't know it was that serious. Okay?
And you're like, hold on, it's very serious.
It's very serious. And the reason you change is because it's hit that spot in you where you said, oh yeah, this is it. So for me, the lyrics of the song, that's it. And so for me, that spot, that particular, that's it.
Yeah.
Really started when I was a kid at 7, 8 years old or whatever. So my father was a huge music fan. And so now I look back and I see where it all began. So my father was playing music all the time. Now this is music from the late 50s into the 60s, because I'm 68. So we're talking about music of the 60s. So let me also clarify a misconception. Even though this was back in the 60s, I don't want anybody listening to think that remote controls came into vogue in the 80s and the 90s. We've had remote controls from the time I was a kid. I was a remote control.
Don't you start that conversation.
My father was like, boy, get up and turn that song or turn that TV.
Yes.
Hey, I was a remote control.
We were remote control. Now, I was born in the 80s, and yeah, my story was I lost the remote control. And so I was the remote control because
There
I
you
lost
go.
it in the house. And so they were really upset that I lost it. And I'm going to tell them myself, this is how old we were. Zenith was,
Oh my God.
it-
Man.
we had the 4 model Zenith TV where you open the panel
Yep.
and you have to push in the channel and then you had to hit enter. Aiden, he's our engineer, you guys. I'm sure he's back there like, what? Yeah. And then my great grandma was a bootlegger. I had no clue what that was until she passed. And so Birmingham, Alabama, you walk in the house, and so the Zenith was no longer working. So you know what she did? She had the new TV on top of the
yes.
old one. So now it served as a TV stand.
Yes, it
so,
does.
Yeah, you talking about back in the day, yeah, we were remotes before there were remotes.
And just for the record, people, the Zenith TV stand weighed about 10,000 pounds.
And then it was like the heaviest thing ever. It was this hideous brown
Yes.
thing. And oh
Yes.
gosh, yeah. Anyways,
That brings up a lot
Lot
of
of
bad memories.
memories.
So
I
we're not
know.
gonna go down that road. So anyway, going back to those days growing up in the 60s, my father was playing songs that you were listening to the words, or I listened to the words. Listening to the words of somebody like, say, Ray Charles from back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
Listening to the words of somebody like Smokey Robinson and
Yes.
the Miracles, or the Temptations.
The
And
Temptation,
so,
Gladys Knight.
yes, all of that.
All that.
So I'm hearing these songs at 7 and 8 years old. The beat was great, but the thing that kept drawing me into car was the word.
Yeah.
What is it they're saying to me? And that was my fascination with it. And so going along, went through high school and everything, I'm still fascinated by the words and the music. And one thing about the lyrics in a song, lyrics can be in so many different forms. And what I mean by that is, are lyrics directive, where you know exactly what's being said? Are they interpretive, where there's a meaning, but you have to look inside the word to see what they mean?
Hold on. I've never thought of that like that.
Oh, I'm not done.
Okay. All right. Let me sit back.
Is it directive, where somebody's saying, yes, I love you, I'm gonna make you my wife, I'm gonna marry you for the rest of my life. That's all well and good. Is it interpretive, where somebody's saying one thing, but they might mean something totally different? Is it symbolistic, where you're using symbols to convey a message? Case in point, a song with great symbolism would be, say, Hotel California from the Eagles back in 71 or 72. What is it that you're saying with the words? What's the message? What does it really mean?
Have no clue.
Or there are allegories lyrically, which is what has been described as far as, say, Don McLean's American Pie. This was in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, what is the song saying? So, because I'm that nerd that I will hear a song even today. The song is playing on YouTube. I'm going to open up another browser because I want to read the words.
You want to know the words.
I want to know the words, even though I know the words, because I want to see what it is you're really saying. So, another song. Carly Simon, I think, wrote a song called You're So Vain.
You're so
Okay.
vain.
But who is she talking about?
Don't know. Is she talking about herself?
No, she's talking about a guy. Or is she talking about a composition of men represented by one guy? It's been rumored that it's Warren Beatty. She said, maybe. But she wrote it in a manner whereby, as the singer-songwriter, the lyricist, she's the only one who really knows what this song is really about. What is it that she's saying? And see, that's the mystery of it. And that's what's so great about the lyrics in the song. So for me, that's what drew me in.
Yeah.
And so when I went to college, I remember I said, you know what? I want to do this. I don't know where it's going to go, but I got to do this. And so came up with some lyrics for a song, an idea. Like, I can't hear the music. I can't do the vocal arrangement, but I can create the story. And so I'll never forget this conversation I had with my college professor in 1975. Never forget it. He was like my mentor. So I took the storyline I was creating for a song lyrically, and I let him read it. And he was reading, and I was just terrified. I was so scared because I thought he's going to look at me and say, this is a waste of time. Why are
This
you
is
doing
trash. What are you doing?
That's exactly what I was scared he was going to say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But he went a total 180. He said, you know what? You got some potential here. And he said, I'm going to encourage you to continue doing this if this is what you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And see, that was a conversation that was in the fall of 1975. Now, here we are now 48 years later. But the reason it's important to Car is because the words that we share with somebody,
Yeah.
we never know how they're going to impact somebody.
That's so true.
Because that one conversation is what really sparked my journey into becoming a lyricist, which eventually then morphed into becoming a Christian author. And so again, it's important that we recognize what is it that we're saying to somebody that can either light a fire in them or it can douse or just completely wipe away their spirit of trying to achieve.
You said a whole lot, and one thing that I just took away from what you just said is do it anyway.
Yes.
And back where I'm sure where you were growing up, and even now to a certain extent, we are kind of told like what we should be doing. Like parents want to tell their kids, you need to do this, 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 and this.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you're going to be your most successful. This is where you're going to be your greatest self. And you took your passion and built your life with that being the foundation.
Absolutely, because I knew that it was something I had to do. And another part of my motivation was my grandmother. My grandmother was born, I think it was in 1899. And she had a very strong music background. My grandmother was a great singer, operatic type singer.
Wow.
She was not that far off the level of, say, a Marian Anderson back in the 30s or so. She was that good. And I'll never forget, she told me to Car one time, must have been the late 20s or early 30s. She was offered a chance to go to Europe and tour as a black woman operatic singer. And she let it pass.
Why?
Well, realistically, she let it pass because she let doubt creep in.
Got it.
And she just let the thought that maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this get into her spirit. But what came out of that to Car is the fact that for the next 30 to 40 years of her life, she would always talk about that. And she talked about it with a sense of hurt.
Yeah.
And she talked about like there was this shadow that just hung over her life, and you could see the pain in her face, and you could hear the pain in her words. And what I took from that, I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to ever be in a position where I'm looking back and saying, I wish I had. Because
Yeah.
in her case, and she lived to be 101 years old.
Wow, that's amazing.
And even when she was in her 80s, before dementia started kicking in her mid 80s and 90s, she still talked about that. And that was 50 plus years.
That let you know that it was rooted in the inside of her.
Yes.
And so it wasn't something that was just like this fly-by-night thing.
No.
This was something that
No.
she was super passionate about, had some regrets about. Yeah, that's deep.
And so she lived with that regret for 50 plus years after that. But what I got from that, Takara, was the fact that, you know what, when you have a passion for something,
Man.
and passion to me is something that isn't just about the emotion, it's not about the moment. Because long after the emotion and the feeling good goes away,
Ooh, come on.
passion is what makes you get up and keep going forward even when you don't feel like it.
That's good.
And passion will even get you to the point of going forward when you're not really sure why you're doing it, but you just know that you have to do it. And so that's the power of what a passion is for somebody.
I laugh at that because sometimes people are like, well, how do I know what my passion is? And I challenge people, what would you do for free all the time if you could?
Mm-hmm.
What is that thing that absolutely brings you joy every time you think about it, every time you get ready to do it? What is that thing? And everyone has one,
Oh, they do.
and they just don't know how to articulate what it is sometimes.
And we have to be honest,
Or they're scared to leap
they're
out.
scared.
They're scared to leap out and own that as their passion. And, you know, or they feel like, well, I need a such and such degree in order to really pursue my passion, or I need this certificate to really do my passion. And that's not true. I mean, really, real talk, prime example. I don't have any type of background in communications. It's just something that I love talking. I love having the conversations. I love really getting to know people because it's important to me. And so it's turned into a passion based off of me being honest with myself, saying these are the things I like, and being unapologetic about saying that.
Exactly.
And that's what we need more of. We need to be able to be unapologetically human in ourselves, like just owning the fact that I can be this person, and it doesn't have to look like what other people want it to look like for me. This is who I am, and being confident with that. And it leads to doing work like what you do, you know, utilizing your gift based off of your passion, understanding how much you love music. I mean, so, you know, hopefully someone out here is watching this show and they might be in between a place and kind of figuring out, well, what is my passion? What do you love to do? If you could spend all your time doing it, what would that thing be? If you do it for free, what else would you say about someone who wants to pursue passion but might feel stuck?
The other thing, too, to keep in mind, Takara, is that your passion is your passion.
Woo!
Okay? You can't say that, well, you should have another passion to do this or do that. It doesn't work like that.
Does not work
And
like
so
that.
sometimes, I remember a conversation I had one time with one of my cousins. We're close enough that we're like brothers. So he has a deep passion for cars, automotive stuff,
Ooh.
as far as how they run, the engine size, the block size. What does it sound like when it goes to second gear or to third gear, whatever the case may be. That's his passion. His passion for that is to the point where he will go on YouTube and he'll just listen to different car engines and just see what they sound like.
Oh, wow.
That's how deep he is with it.
Wow.
Okay, and I love that. I love that about him.
That's impressive.
But that's his passion.
Yeah.
So my passion is music and lyrics. So I'll never forget one time I was at his house and we were just talking, and I was telling him about this, about the song, and why this is saying that, and this is what it means, but is there a sub-meaning? And I've been able to write this and do that, and I turned around and he was asleep. He fell asleep. But do you know why he fell asleep?
That's not his passion.
It's not his thing.
That's not his thing.
And
Now,
I'm
if
not
that was-
mad at
If that
him.
was you and I, we'd still probably be on the couch talking like 4 years later, you know? But you have to understand the passion.
Right.
And not get offended when people don't like what you like.
And sometimes people are not going to get it.
And that's fine.
It's okay, because you cannot articulate the depth of your passion and the love you have for something to somebody who just doesn't get it or they don't feel the same way.
Yeah.
I can remember back in my days at the university in my academic career, working with students, they were talking about, well, I like to do this, I like to do that. I was trying to explain to my friends, they just looked at me with a blank look. I said, you can't explain something to them if they don't have the same passion. So for
Yeah.
me, the lyrics in the songs have always been the passion for me.
Yeah.
So when my college professor told me, you should pursue this, And like I said, that was in October, I think, of 1975.
Were you really shocked when your professor said that?
I was, because you have to remember, I'm 21 years old, and he's like this professor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this dude is up here. I mean, for real, he's up there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what if he shoots me down? What am I going to do? Well, for him to encourage me
Yeah.
was life-changing.
I'm sure.
And so I just continued to go forward.
Yeah.
I was able to connect with a real close friend of mine. We're in college at the same time, Dr. Franklin Thompson. And so he was gracious enough to invite me into his studio, his home studio in the 80s, where he gave me the opportunity to kind of write, to work with people, to collaborate, and to just work in different genres of music. So lyrically, I've written in, I think, country, R&B, soul, hip hop, gospel, jazz pop, country pop.
Wow.
I've done all the different genres of music, because when you are a lyricist, and I can only speak from my own experience, you create a storyline.
Yeah.
Then you step back and you say, okay, what is the best genre to express the story that I'm telling? And so for the one song that we have for this program called What If? Now, the genesis for What If really came from somebody using those words in a conversation I was having. They said, well, what if this or what if that? And it clicked.
Don't you love that?
I do.
I don't. And when it just clicks and it's like, it feels like you can hear the angels singing because you got it. It clicks. It feels
clicked.
so good that, yeah. Come on.
It clicked, and I said, what if? And so I wrote the lyrics. And so when I got through, I said, okay, so lyrically, the storyline, it's not hip hop, it's not gospel, it's not old school R&B, it's country. And when I've let friends hear the song, they're like, okay, I'm not understanding this. You came out of the projects, came out of the hood. Where's the tie into country music? I said, what you have to keep in mind with country music is they're telling a story. The emphasis is on the story that's
Yeah.
being told.
Yeah.
I said, as a lyricist, what I have to do is I have to look at the genre that's going to express my story the best.
The
That's my
best.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, when I've done lyrics for gospel, I knew when I created the storyline, this is a gospel song. My favorite gospel song that I was a co-writer on is called Through It All. I wrote the storyline, which was really based on a difficult period in my life of going through a journey with cancer. Yeah, colon cancer. And so I was in really bad shape at the time, but God brought me through it. But when I wrote the storyline for Through It All, it's based on that period of time I was going through cancer and through the recovery. And so when I wrote the lyrics, I knew, Takara, this is a song which is not up-tempo, it's a ballad, because lyrically, it is reflective, it is thankful, it is observational. So in terms of the music that fits with it, it has to be a ballad.
You know what? I love this. I feel that there has to be something more for you to do with this. I really would love for you to think about having an opportunity for kids to really learn music for a couple of reasons. Music therapy.
That's a whole nother subject.
I know, we'll have you back. But yeah.
Because music therapy, music has the healing powers because of nothing else. Someone can just be down and out,
Yes.
and they'll hear a song,
Yes.
and something changes. They get,
It's like this.
they say, wait a minute,
it's
Yeah,
it's a huge shift. There's music I can listen to it makes me so happy. It's just this I can't explain it.
It can't be articulated because there is an innate internal response that triggers something in you that you try to articulate, but you really can't. There's a song I was listening to about 2 days ago by a gentleman by the name of Bob Seger. Legendary rock and roll player, guitarist, singer in the 70s. He has a song called Like a Rock. The lyrics bring me to tears because he's talking about his journey from being a teenager up to the point in life where he looks up and 20 years later he wonders, how did I get to this point?
I think that's a lot. I think that's a lot of us though, and I think a lot of us can relate to that. We just blinking and we're in a whole new year.
You blink your eye and you're there and you're like, what happened?
What happened?
But he's talking about this story, and if you listen intently, you can hear yourself in the story.
What?
And
oh,
so
wow.
you can hear yourself in the story because he's talking about at 18, I was strong, I was fearless. Now 20 years later, this is where I'm at. I'm different. What's changed? But how did I even get to this point 20 years later? One of the lyrics says, 20 years, where'd they go? 20 years, I don't know. He's reflecting, he's haunted by the fact that he doesn't know where 20 years went. He's also thinking internally, what's happened in 20 years?
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know what's happened in 30 minutes. I mean, we're done. It's the end of the show. I mean, you said so many key nuggets. I absolutely, you guys see why I call him the legend. There's so many things that we can learn from this amazing man, and just talking about music and lyrics and how we listen to music all the time, but do we really dive in? So how can people find you if they want to pick your brain more about all things that you do when it comes to the lyricist?
They can go to my website, which is alantblack.com, ALANTBLACK.com. That's the authorship side. I'm also on Instagram. Hello.
Woo, 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 woo,
And it's Alan T. Black 55. And so I'm someone at 68 who said, you know what? You have to adapt or you get left behind.
That part.
So the social media piece and things like that, I'm like, you know what? I've got to stay in the game. I'm not going to be sitting on the sideline watching everybody go by me and just wave and say, hey, I remember when you used to. You can't do that because you have an opportunity. Life is not a dress rehearsal. You only get one shot.
Got one shot.
So go for it.
Listen, those are amazing parting words. That's a really great place to stop. This has been What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole, special guest Alan Black, and we will catch you guys next time. See you soon.
What you trying to do for real? For real. Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep.